real estate agent. So we are going to leverage our mortgages for success. So remember I said that I'm going to be doing a few series on how you can become a better real estate agent just by knowing some of the things that take place on the back end with mortgages. So for today, we're going to talk about your pre-approval letter, which is the most important document that you want to have aside from a contract and that clear to close. You want to know how that loan officer came about when they calculated that pre-approval. So you have a client and they were pre-approved for $450,000. You want to know, what did that mortgage professional do to come up with that number? You want to make sure when you go out and search for a property that the parameters of that property you're searching for meet the parameters of the pre-approval letter. One of the things that I like to use with all of my agents is I have a portal, and in that portal, it breaks down the numbers that were used to pre-approve the client. Most lenders, have some type of portal that you can go into. If they don't, just ask them to give you a breakdown so that you have those figures in front of you, so that you can go out and shop, because there could be room to go up on this number a little bit based on what that lender used. So let's just break this down a little bit right here. So when a lender gives you a pre-approval, right, they have already went through that client's income, credit, assets, and we're past that, right? You got a pre-approval letter, you're out shopping, and you want to know, does property A work for this buyer? Well, you need to find out from the loan officer, what figures did you use to come up with this pre-approval number? You want to know, what range is their interest rate in? Because this can change, right? We may do a pre-approval today. You know the market is going up and down with these rates. And depending on their DTI, we can be really tight or have a little space. But you want to know, hey, what range of an interest rate is this client going to get? Okay. So in this scenario, this client is getting a 5.625 rate. They got a pre-approval for $450,000. I use a $5,000 annual tax for the client. So that $5,000 number comes out to, on the monthly, $416.67. That's the monthly number for the taxes. For the HOI, I use $2,500. Now, we know homeowners insurance, which is HOI, homeowners insurance, we don't know that to the clients on the contract, but this is the estimate that I use, okay? And depending on what state you're in, this can be really high or really low, right? It could not be sufficient. So this is why you want to ask the loan officers what number you use. For instance, I do loans in Georgia. This is high for Georgia, depending on the property. In Florida, this is probably a little bit too low, okay? But for our scenario, $2,500, this is $208.33. And then we have mortgage insurance, and on an FHA mortgage, this is a standard calculation based on the loan amount. So you can get a little fluctuation if you go up or down, but not much. And then we have our principal and interest of $25.25 and 55 cents. That's a really nice number. All right. So here's your thought process while you're out shopping. You may say, oh, Alicia, whoever your loan officer is, I found a house and it was $455. Can this work? Well, it all depends. If I was at my max on these numbers already, this is a FHA mortgage, okay? In this scenario here, this is a FHA mortgage. If I was at my max, which is 46 over 56. Now this number is a little bit different depending who your lender is. But for me, this is the max I can go to on a DTI. Depending on the client and all of those things can change. But the max I can go to is that. So let's say I was already at my 56.99. I had no space to go up to 455. My first question to you is going to be, what are the taxes? Automatically, I'm going to ask, what's this number? Because if this is $4,000 a year and not $5,000, and let's just do the math on this. If it's $4,000 annually, that brings this down to now $333.33, which is almost $100 savings. So I want to say, oh, wow, I got space in my DTI now. Of course you can go up by those $5,000. You can actually go up more than $5,000 with that $100 savings almost that we just got. So when you are having a pre-approval letter from a lender, ask them, especially if the numbers are a little tight or you think that the number doesn't work. Now, if this is a client, let's say they're only looking at $350,000 homes, then you don't necessarily have to do that, right? Because you have a lot of room within your numbers. But let's say they're at their max and you're trying to get just a couple extra dollars out of that pre-approval to get your client exactly what they need. You want to know how they're calculating that number. Now, there are mortgage calculators online. You may say, Arlesia, what's the max payment my client can have? Okay. So what you'll do is you'll say, and I tend to give this to my agents, but you'll want to know what's the max payment. So depending on it right now with these new numbers, our payment is $32, $63, and 66 cents. That's our payment. And I may say, this is the maximum amount that they can pay in a mortgage every single month and be pre-approved at that $455 number and stay within their DTI. And if that's the case, when you're out in the streets and you're showing homes, out of this 32, 63, and 66 cents, that the P&I, which is going to be standard, or pretty standard, is $25.25. And you say, well, the taxes and insurance is changing based on that property. And these could be rough, but at least you know if you're looking at the right property, right? For sometimes I get some of my real estate agents, they're looking at properties that they're so far off fitting within the parameters. And again, like I mentioned, we have a portal that'll break down what you qualify for with these numbers. So you want to make sure that you know them so that you can stay within that client's budget. And obviously, you don't want to be out just showing properties that don't fit, right? I don't want you to do it. Now, listen, if you got any questions, put them down below in the comments section. And stand by for next week for our next series. All right, guys.